the Brisbane Olympics, to be held in 7 years' time, suddenly got a lot more interesting. The state government is tipped to announce tomorrow that rowing events are going to be held up at Rockhampton on the Fitzroy River there, which happens to be a home to crocodiles like the one that caught a dog last January, like the ones that have caused the membership of the Rockhampton Water Ski Club to drop last year.
We had a large crocodile removed here last year, which we wanted removed so that people could recreate on the river without fear of having a human-crocodile interaction.
Now, it's true that there have been rowing events on the river without anyone being eaten, but you don't have to be Captain Hook to know that the thought of a croc in the river might help to set a lot more rowing records. Joining me is John Lever, who's the owner of Corana Crocodile Farm, which is just outside Rockhampton. John, great to talk to you. Love your farm. The Fitzroy River, are there many crocs there?
Well, they're growing in number, and they've got a good breeding ground further up the river, not in Rocky, but further up the river. And of course, with the seasonal flooding, you get distribution of crocodiles coming down the river every season. So, yeah, there are crocs there, there's no doubt about it, and there's been a few removed in the last few years. I caught my first croc in the Fitzroy in 1982, just shortly after we started here, and that had just eaten a farmer's dog, and he was a bit upset about that. And this is all within the recreational area of Rocky. So something needs to be done about ensuring that people can still recreate in that area.
Gee, I thought this was a far-fetched thing, but there you go. Listen, well, how do you do that? How can you make a river safe enough for foreign rowers to come down and dare row there?
Well, obviously, if there's a potential threat, it's got to be removed. And that means there has to be embark on a survey process and a trapping process and remove any crocodiles within that area. It's a fabulous river, and it's the ideal place for an Olympic rowing event. It's spectacular. It really is. And we'd hate to think that it wasn't going to be there, the choice simply because of one or two crocs. Those crocs can be removed. It takes an effort, as it does everywhere else. In Darwin, they've got boats and men everywhere, and about 40 traps out in Darwin Harbour, just constantly baited there to get the crocs. We can do the same thing if we have a change in category in the Fitzroy River.
Look, that sounds great, John, and you're the croc expert, but how can you be sure that a lazy croc doesn't decide in the middle of a regatta to just float down the river, that they haven't been seen before? They just go for a little wander. You can't be sure that there isn't a croc there, can you?
Well, no, but those sort of hypotheses are a bit far-fetched. And let me tell you, you're more likely to get run over by a bus on the way to the boat ramp than you are to a crocodile popping up in the middle of a rowing event. So it's a fairly safe place. There's never been anyone taken by a crocodile in the Fitzroy River. They've just been sighted. The food supply in the Fitzroy is extraordinarily good for crocodiles, between bony brim and barramundi and catfish and birds and pigs and everything else. None of those crocs go hungry. So, it's not as if there's hunger attacks occurring. It's just not happening at all. And I put my son in a skiff out there to row down the Fitzroy.
Well, good. Well, I know. I presume that you're close to your son. I think he works at your farm, so I presume it's a close bond. But look, you say the crocs are well fed. What would a croc think of a small boat being paddled above them in the water? Would they think it's food?
Okay. Well, you've got two aspects of it here. When a crocodile is underwater, it generally feeds at the water's edge. They're water edge feeders. Now, this rowing competition is going to be held out in fairly deep water, in fact, very deep water in the Fitzroy. That run where they're going to do the rowing competition is a very deep stretch of river. So you don't get crocodiles doing the attacks in deep water. They do it in shallow water, at the water's edge. That's where they define their territory. They've got little glands under the chin here that pop out. They produce a pheromone. They place that on the bank, on trees and rocks and things like that. So they mark their territory like dogs do on every lamppost and tree. So crocodiles have a way of marking their territory as well, and it's at the water's edge. So the attacks that occur are not territorial attacks if the people are in deep water, and it's unlikely there would be hunger attacks occur. We have a threat with females defending her, looking after a nest or a babies. That's got to be dealt with. And I'm sure if they made that an active removal zone, that stretch of the river could be cleaned up in a couple of years.
John Lever, I think you've reassured us, but I'm not 100% sure about it, to be honest. Thank you so much indeed for your time. Really appreciate your expertise.